I thought I was planting roses in my backyard, until I unearthed 5 gold bricks wrapped in plastic with a photo of a woman whose face I recognized but couldn't place. And that same night, a stranger appeared at my door claiming I'd stolen her life. The shovel hit something hard. Not rock, not root, something that made a hollow thunk that echoed through the quiet evening air of my Naperville, Illinois backyard. I was on my knees in the dirt, sweating through my old Northwestern t-shirt, trying to plant the climbing roses I'd bought on sale at Costco 3 weeks ago. My hands were shaking, not from exhaustion, but from what I'd just uncovered. 5 rectangular objects wrapped in heavy plastic sheeting, bound with duct tape that had yellowed with age. I pulled the first one free from the soil. Heavy, so heavy my wrist buckled. I peeled back a corner of the plastic with my garden shears, and that's when I saw it. Gold. A brick of solid gold, stamped with markings I didn't recognize. My heart was pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. I unwrapped the second one, then the third, all identical, all real. And then I saw the photograph. It was taped to the 4th brick with packing tape, protected by a sealed Ziploc bag. The photo was old, maybe from the 1990s based on the colors and the hairstyle. A woman, blonde, late 20s, maybe early 30s, smiling at the camera like she had a secret. Her face, I knew that face. But I swear to God, I had never met her in my life. I sat there in the dirt as the sun set behind my neighbor's privacy fence, holding that photograph in my dirt-streaked hands, trying to place where I knew her from. A former co-worker, someone from church, a friend of a friend. Nothing clicked. That night at exactly 9:47 p.m., I remember because I looked at the microwave clock when I heard it, someone knocked on my front door. 3 slow, deliberate knocks. I wasn't expecting anyone. My husband Carl was on a business trip to Denver. My daughter Emma was at Northwestern, 2 hours away. My son Josh lived in Portland and barely called anymore. I approached the door slowly, my phone already in my hand, 911 ready to dial. Through the peephole I saw a woman, mid-60s, thin, wearing a cream-colored coat even though it was 70 degrees outside. Her hair was silver blonde, cut short and neat. And her face. My blood went cold. It was the same face from the photograph, older now, lined with age but unmistakable. I opened the door with the chain still latched. "Can I help you?" She looked at me with eyes that were neither angry nor kind, just knowing. "You found what belongs to me," she said. Her voice was calm, matter-of-fact, like she was commenting on the weather. I froze. "My name is Margaret Elena Hogan. I'm 53 years old. I've lived in this house for 22 years, raised 2 kids here, buried a dog in the side yard, and hosted more Thanksgiving dinners than I can count. And until 3 hours ago, I thought I knew every inch of this property. Now I'm standing at my front door, facing a stranger who somehow knows I just dug up 5 gold bricks in my backyard, gold bricks that were buried with her photograph. And I have absolutely no idea why. Let me back up. I need you to understand what my life looked like before this moment, because what happened next, what I discovered, it shattered everything I thought I knew about my family. I grew up in Downers Grove, just 20 minutes from where I live now. Middle child. My older sister Diane was the golden one, cheerleading captain, homecoming queen, full ride to University of Illinois. My younger brother Tommy was the baby, the only boy, the one who could do no wrong. And then there was me. Average grades, average looks, average everything. My mother, Patricia, made sure I knew it too. Not with cruelty exactly, she was too Midwestern polite for that, but with 1,000 tiny dismissals. The way she'd hang Diane's honor roll certificates on the fridge, but stick my B+ report cards in a drawer. The way she'd brag about Diane's sorority to the neighbors, but introduce me as our quiet one. When I graduated high school in 1989, there was supposed to be money for college. My grandpa, my dad's father, had set up education funds for all 3 of us grandkids before he died. Equal amounts, $50,000 each, which back then was enough for 4 years of in-state tuition with money left over. Diane used hers for U of I. Tommy would use his later for DePaul. But when I went to apply mine, my mother sat me down at our kitchen table, the same Formica table where we'd eaten countless dinners, and told me there had been complications. "The fund isn't there anymore, sweetie," she said, not quite meeting my eyes. "There were taxes, penalties for early withdrawal. Your father and I had to use some of it when the furnace broke. You understand?" I was 18, I didn't understand, but I also didn't know how to fight. "What about Diane's fund?" I asked. "Did that have penalties too?" "Diane's was set up differently," my mother said smoothly. "Don't worry, you can go to community college. Lots of kids do, it's more practical anyway." So that's what I did. I went to College of DuPage for 2 years, worked part-time at Target, lived at home, and watched Diane come home on weekends with stories about fraternity parties and spring break in Florida. I transferred to a state school, took out loans, worked 3 jobs, and graduated at 24 with a degree in accounting and $40,000 in debt that would take me 15 years to pay off. I told myself it didn't matter. I told myself I was fine. But deep down, in a place I didn't let myself look at too often, I knew. I knew I'd been cheated. I just didn't know how much. The woman on my doorstep was still standing there, waiting. "I think you have the wrong house," I said, my voice steadier than I felt. "I don't," she replied. "Your mother's name was Patricia Ann Morrison before she married. She grew up in Oak Park. She had a sister named Caroline." My hand tightened on the doorframe. How did this woman know my mother's maiden name? How did she know about Aunt Caroline, who died of cancer when I was 12? "Who are you?" I whispered. "My name is Vivian," she said. "Vivian Morrison. Caroline was my mother." The world tilted. Aunt Caroline had a daughter. No, that wasn't possible. Aunt Caroline never married, never had kids. My mother told us that. She said Caroline was too focused on her career. She'd been some kind of buyer for Marshall Fields and never wanted children. "That's not true," I said. "Caroline didn't have any children." Vivian's smile was thin and sad. "That's what your mother wanted everyone to believe," she said. "Can I come in? I promise I'm not here to hurt you. I'm here because you deserve to know the truth, and because what you found in that garden, it was meant for you, not them." I let her in. I don't know why. Maybe because her eyes looked like my mother's. Maybe because after 53 years of being the family afterthought, I was hungry for any truth that might explain why I'd always felt like I was on the outside looking in. We sat in my living room, the one I'd decorated myself after Carl, and I bought this house in 2002, with the cream sectional from Pottery Barn and the family photos on the wall that I'd carefully arranged to look happy and normal. Vivian looked around slowly, taking it all in. "You have a nice home," she said. "Thank you. My mother never got to have one like this." The way she said it, so quiet, so heavy with old grief, made my chest ache. "Tell me," I said, "tell me everything." And she did. Caroline Morrison got pregnant in 1959. She was 23, unmarried, working at Marshall Fields in downtown Chicago. The father was a married man, a manager at the store. When she told him, he gave her money for an abortion and told her to never contact him again. But Caroline didn't get an abortion. She had the baby, a girl, Vivian. In 1959, that was a scandal that could destroy you. So Caroline's parents, my grandparents, made a decision. They sent Caroline to a home for unwed mothers in Indiana. She gave birth there, and then they took the baby. They told Caroline she had to give Vivian up for adoption or they'd disown her. So Caroline signed the papers. But she didn't stop fighting. For the next 30 years, Caroline searched for her daughter. She hired private investigators. She petitioned courts. She saved every penny she could, working her way up at Fields to senior buyer, living in a modest apartment, never marrying, never having other children. And when she finally found Vivian, when Vivian was 28 years old, living in Michigan with 2 kids of her own, Caroline did something. She set up a trust. A trust that would go to Vivian when Caroline died. But Caroline didn't trust her family to follow through. She knew her sister Patricia, my mother, and she knew how Patricia operated. Patricia had always been jealous of Caroline's independence, her career, her refusal to marry and settle. So Caroline hid the trust in a way Patricia couldn't touch. She converted it to gold. 5 bars, purchased in 1988 when she was diagnosed with stage 4 breast cancer and knew her time was running out. She buried them in the backyard of her Oak Park bungalow with instructions in her, will that the property would pass to Vivian. But Caroline died in 1991, and Patricia, as the executor of Caroline's estate, sold the house before Vivian even knew Caroline was dead. Your mother sold the house to a developer, Vivian said, her voice tight. They tore it down and built a strip mall. I found out 2 years later when I finally worked up the courage to try to contact Caroline. I went to the address I had, and there was a Walgreens. Oh my God, I whispered. I hired a lawyer, tried to challenge the estate, but your mother had done everything legally. Caroline's will mentioned me, but it wasn't specific about assets. Patricia claimed there was nothing left after debts and funeral costs. I had no proof of the gold. No one believed me. So how did it end up here? I asked. In my yard. Vivian's eyes met mine. Because your mother didn't sell Caroline's house to a developer right away. She sold it to herself first, bought it for $1 through some legal loophole, held onto it for 6 months. I think she knew about the gold. I think she dug it up. And then I think she kept it. But why would she bury it here? Because this house, Vivian said slowly, this property, it used to belong to your parents. They owned it in the early 90s as an investment property. They rented it out for years before selling it to you and your husband in 2002. The room was spinning. We bought this house from a property management company, I said, not from my parents. Check the deed history, Vivian said. I already did. Your parents sold it to a management LLC in 1998. That LLC managed it until you bought it. But between 1991 and 1998, your parents owned it. I felt sick. Your mother buried my inheritance in this yard, Vivian said. And then she sold you the house. I don't think she ever expected you to find it. I think she was hiding it from your father, from the IRS, from everyone. But you found it, and that means you get to decide what happens next. I didn't sleep that night. I sat at my kitchen table with my laptop, pulling up property records, deed transfers, tax documents. Everything Vivian said checked out. My parents had owned this house from 1992 to 1998. They'd purchased it as rental income during the same year my mother sold Aunt Caroline's estate. Caroline died in March 1991. My parents bought this property in November 1991. The timing was too perfect to be coincidence. And suddenly, everything clicked into place. The missing college fund, my mother's constant dismissals, the way Diane always had everything and I had nothing. It wasn't just favoritism. It was theft. My mother had stolen Caroline's gold meant for Vivian, for the daughter Caroline had spent decades trying to find, and she'd used it for herself. Maybe she'd used some of it to buy this rental property. Maybe she'd used some of it to fund Diane's perfect life. Maybe she'd just hoarded it, paranoid and secretive. But she'd definitely used my college fund. The fund Grandpa Hogan set up. The $50,000 that supposedly evaporated due to penalties and taxes. I pulled up my old loan documents. I looked at the dates. I did the math. And then I cried. Not gentle tears. Ugly, gasping sobs that came from somewhere so deep I didn't know I'd been holding them. My mother had stolen my future to hide someone else's inheritance. And she'd let me believe I wasn't worth investing in. The next morning I called my sister. Diane lived in Hinsdale now, an upscale suburb full of women who wore Lululemon to the grocery store and drove white Range Rovers. She'd married a corporate lawyer, had 3 kids who all went to private schools, and hosted elaborate Christmas parties where everything was catered and perfect. We weren't close. We did the obligatory holiday visits and birthday texts, but there was always a distance between us. A distance I'd always assumed was my fault, because I was the boring sister, the one who didn't quite fit. Maggie, Diane's voice was bright and fake when she answered. What a surprise, what's going on? I need to talk to you about Mom, I said. Oh God, is she okay? Did something happen? Our mother was 76 now, living in a senior community in Wheaton. Still sharp, still manipulative in that soft Midwestern way. She's fine, I said, but I found something, and I need to know if you knew. There was a pause. Knew what? About my college fund. The silence stretched so long, I thought the call had dropped. Diane. Maggie, I don't know what you're talking about. Yes, you do, I said. And my voice was steel. You know exactly what I'm talking about. The $50,000 Grandpa set up for me, the money that supposedly vanished. Where did it go? How would I know that? Because Mom used it for you, didn't she? She used my fund to pay for your sorority dues, your spring breaks, your perfect college experience. While I was working 3 jobs and taking out loans, you were spending my money. That's insane, Maggie. You sound paranoid. Am I asked. Because I've been looking at timelines. And it's funny how your expenses at U of I, expenses that weren't covered by your scholarship, they match up exactly with when my fund supposedly disappeared. I'm hanging up now. I found gold bars buried in my backyard, I said quickly. 5 of them. They belonged to Aunt Caroline. Mom stole them after Caroline died. She used them to buy property to fund your life, to make sure you had everything while I had nothing, and I have proof. Another long silence. When Diane spoke again, her voice was different, smaller. What are you going to do? I don't know yet, I said, but I think you need to talk to Mom, and I think both of you need to figure out how to make this right. I hung up. Vivian stayed in town for 3 days. We met every morning at a panerai near my house. She told me stories about Caroline, about the mother she'd only known for 2 brief years before cancer took her, about Caroline's apartment full of photos Vivian had never seen as a child, about the letters Caroline had written but never sent. She loved you, you know, Vivian said on the 3rd day. Your mom, Caroline, talked about Patricia's kids. She sent you birthday cards that Patricia probably threw away. She wanted to be part of your life. I never knew, I whispered. That's what Patricia did best, Vivian said. She erased people, made them disappear, made you think you were the problem when really you were just inconvenient to her narrative. That afternoon, Vivian and I went to a lawyer. We had the gold appraised. In 2024 dollars, those 5 bars were worth approximately $420,000. The lawyer explained my options. Legally, the gold was mine, found on my property, no clear chain of ownership to anyone else, but morally it belonged to Vivian. I didn't hesitate. It's hers, I told the lawyer. All of it, draw up whatever papers we need. Vivian started crying. I can't let you do that, she said. Yes, you can, I replied, because this isn't about the gold. This is about what was stolen from Caroline, from you, from me, and I'm choosing to give it back. But I wasn't done. That night I drove to my mother's senior living community, the Oak Grove, a nice place with walking paths and a dining hall that served pot roast on Thursdays. My father had passed away 5 years ago, heart attack, quick and clean, and Mom had moved here shortly after. I found her in her apartment, watching Wheel of Fortune. Margaret, she stood up smiling. What a wonderful surprise, I wasn't expecting you. We need to talk, I said. Her smile faltered. Is everything all right? No, Mom, everything is not all right. I told her everything, about the gold, about Vivian, about the property records and the timelines and the missing college fund. I watched her face cycle through emotions, shock, denial, indignation, fear. I don't know what you're talking about, she said finally. Someone has clearly fed you lies. Don't, I interrupted. Don't you dare gaslight me, not anymore. I have documents, I have proof, I know what you did. I did what I had to do, she snapped, and there it was, the truth spilling out in anger. Caroline was selfish. She had a child out of wedlock and expected our family to just accept it. She embarrassed us. She made choices and then wanted us to clean up her mess. She was your sister. She was reckless, Mom's voice was shaking now. And that gold, she had no right to hide assets like that. She owed money. She owed our parents for all the times they bailaid her out. I was the executor, I made the decision. And what about me? I asked quietly. What about my college fund? Mom's face crumpled slightly. That was different. How? You were fine, Margaret. You didn't need university like Diane did. Diane was going places, she needed the opportunities. You were always going to be stable, practical, I knew you'd be okay. And there it was. The truth I'd known my whole life, but never heard spoken aloud. I wasn't worth investing in because I wasn't special. I was just fine. I want you to know something, I said, standing up. I gave the gold to Vivian, all of it. It's legally mine, but morally it's hers, and I chose to do the right thing, the thing you never did. You had no right. And I'm done, I continued. I'm done with obligatory holiday dinners. I'm done pretending we're a normal family. I'm done shrinking myself to make you comfortable. You stole my future because you didn't think I deserved one, but you were wrong. I walked to the door. Margaret, wait. I didn't wait. The fallout took weeks. Diane called me 17 times. I didn't answer. My brother Tommy, who'd stayed silent through all of this, finally sent me a text, I believe you. Mom did the same thing to me, just in different ways, I'm sorry. Vivian and I stayed in touch. She used part of the gold to pay off her mortgage. She set up college funds for her grandchildren. She donated to a charity that helps adopted children find their birth families. And she sent me something in the mail. A photo of Caroline, younger than the buried picture, maybe early 20s. She was standing in front of Marshall Fields in downtown Chicago, wearing a neat dress and heels, smiling at the camera like she owned the world. On the back, in Caroline's handwriting, "Don't let them make you smaller. See." I framed it, put it on my mantel right next to the photo of Carl and me on our wedding day. My mother passed away 6 months later, heart failure. Diane called to tell me, her voice small and uncertain. "There's a funeral," she said. "I thought you'd want to know." "I'll think about it," I said. I didn't go. I sent flowers, white roses, the kind you send for forgiveness you don't actually feel. I sent them because that's what Midwestern daughters do. We perform grief even when we don't feel it. But I didn't mourn. I mourned the mother I'd wanted, the one who saw me, the one who chose me. But I didn't mourn Patricia. Here's what I learned. Some people will look at you your entire life and decide you're not worth the investment, not worth the effort, not worth the truth. They'll take from you your money, your opportunities, your peace, and convince you that you were never owed anything in the first place. They'll call it practicality, they'll call it family, they'll call it what's best. But it's theft, and you don't owe thieves your forgiveness. I'm 53 years old. I spent 35 years believing I wasn't enough. That I was the problem, that if I'd just been prettier, smarter, more like Diane, I would have been worth loving. But the problem was never me. The problem was being raised by someone who saw children as investments with varying returns. And now I'm free. I'm free of the guilt, free of the obligation, free of the desperate, lifelong attempt to earn love from someone who was never going to give it. If you're watching this and you recognize yourself in my story, if you've spent years wondering why you were never enough, why your sibling got everything while you got scraps, I want you to hear this. It wasn't you. It was never you. You were always worth investing in. You were always worth protecting. You were always deserving of the same love, the same chances, the same future. And if the people who were supposed to give you that chose not to, that's their failure, not yours. You can walk away. You can choose yourself. You can plant roses in your backyard and find buried gold and decide to give it to someone who deserves it, just because it's the right thing to do. You can rewrite the ending. I did. And I've never felt lighter. Outro. So if you're sitting there right now, wondering if you should forgive the family member who hurt you, who overlooked you, who stole from you, you don't have to. Forgiveness is not a requirement for healing. Sometimes healing looks like boundaries, like distance, like choosing peace over performance. Sometimes the most radical thing you can do is stop trying to earn love from people who have already shown you who they are. I found gold in my backyard, but the real treasure was finally giving myself permission to stop digging for something that was never there. My mother's love, my sister's respect, my family's acknowledgement. I don't need it anymore. I have myself, I have my truth. I have a cousin I never knew existed who taught me that integrity matters more than inheritance. And I have you, whoever you are watching this, recognizing your own story and mine. You're not alone. You're not ungrateful. You're not bitter. You're just awake. And that's where freedom starts. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. Thank you for seeing me. I see you too. And you were always worth it.